Good morning, Lizzo Nation. Welcome today on our episode on Facebook Live as we celebrate day 106 of our alert lockdown level. And then we thank you very much for being here with us in this regard, in terms of all when there's put it in place. And then we know in this alert lockdown level 3, we have a lot of things that are going on as our cases now are surpassing, they have surpassed 250. We do have some recoveries in that. Let me first start by apologizing on the song that I was using yesterday. In terms of our slogan, the song in fact was not sang by TKZ, it was sang by Ishmael when he said togetherness. So that is what we were saying yesterday. That is our topic, our subject matter yesterday in terms of our value discussion. So I'm Lizzo Mknebe and I help engineering executives to realize the productivity they will have once they use people, processes, and systems in synchronization with each other in order for them to reach their ultimate potential or return on investment. But we only do this by making sure that everyone understands thoroughly. They need to understand thoroughly what is it that they are dealing with, what is its life cycle. So with that being said, let us share the president call in terms of COVID-19, where we must make sure that we always wash our hands for at least 20 seconds with water or soap, with water and soap or alcohol-based sanitizer. Let us make sure that we avoid crowded areas. Let us make sure that we always make sure that we adhere to the mask. We must always put, especially when in the public, we must put the mask on. And then let us exercise social distancing. And let us make sure that we listen to reliable news sources like WHO, NCID, or CID, and then our national health departments in various countries. And then we've heard yesterday that the Brazilian president as well was diagnosed with COVID-19 disease as well in this regard as well. So like the World Health Organization at a press conference, they pray for his speedy recovery. We also pray for a lot of people's speedy recovery, and then let us abide by the government regulation in terms of the National Coronavirus Command Council in South Africa, in terms of the stipulation that they've put in the regulation. We've also started to see the school opening phase gazetted as per the Minister of Basic Education in terms of when will the other grades go back. We know we'll have another grade going back on the 20th of July, then the other one will go back on the 27th of July. In two phases, the other one will go back on the 7th of August, and then another grade will go, the last grade to go back, which is the grade 5s, will go back, the grade 5s and the grade 9s will go back on the 31st of August. So let us watch the space. And then there are other countries that have swallowed the bullet, especially the Ministry of Basic Education in Kenya, because Kenya wanted to open their school on the 1st of September, but due to the assessment that they've done, because they are running at the moment at 8,000 infections, so they've decided that the school, in fact, in terms of basic education, the school will open on 2021. So they will not have, they've considered the year lost in terms of schooling for this current year of 2020. So that is what Kenya has done. We know the other states in Florida, they want to open the school on the 1st of August. We know the president of the United States wanted the school to open on the 1st of September. And then in Kenya, still going back to Kenya, they wanted to open universities on a phased program as well, or online. They still want to do that online, and graduation must be handled as well online. So we congratulate countries, and we need to get the spread in order for us not to have a headache in going forward now. So we've seen the Minister of the MEC of Health in Gauteng, Dr. Bandile Masu, for the high, the beds are ready for the high number of patients that will be coming. We've started seeing private sector as well in terms of the hospitals. like your Netcare and your Mediclinic coming on board as well, saying, no, we are ready to accept everyone. And then from the Ministry of Health in the Eastern Cape, or in general in the country, we just heard that there might be a shortage of PPEs as well. So everyone that is out there that is willing to give PPE must advise the Ministry of Health in terms of this arrangement. It will be helpful because, remember, the health professionals at the moment are the one at risk. So we need to help them in terms of making sure that they have got enough PPEs in order for them to carry out their duty. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on TikTok, we are all over. So please make sure that you follow us in all our platforms. So today's topic, as you can see, we are very concerned with the infiltration of our engineering skill. I'm an engineer by profession, I'm a podcaster, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a speaker. And then, yes, the only time when I've not seen infiltration of our engineering skill is in the mining sector, because in the mining sector, unfortunately, the guys that are guided by the Mining Act or the Minerals Act, they are guided in terms of hiring the right people in the right position. But I've seen infiltration in my career since I've started my career at Umgeni Water, and then moved on to ENPC, where I've never seen infiltration at ENPC because I was doing the mines. And then when I was at VWS and Vega, I've never seen infiltration because it was specifically on a private companies were doing private jobs with the mines as well, where I've never seen infiltration. So like I've said, in the mines you don't see infiltration, but you only see infiltration when you go to government. So that is when I started seeing that no, people are taking chances, people are trying their luck. And then I could understand why there was so much infiltration. Because remember, as South Africa, when we were coming out of we wanted to rebuild our infrastructure. So one of the things that has happened in terms of our country going forward or moving forward was to make sure that the electricity, in terms of the roads, in terms of your networks and all of those things, your stormwater, your wastewater treatment works and all of that. So there was no other way where people could go and do infiltration rather than in government contracts. And then they had the right to do so because at the time, we just coming out of apartheid. So we didn't have enough expertise. So still during that time, people that were considered having enough skills were the people that were advantaged. Because remember, we were HDIs, historically disadvantaged individuals during that time. So we didn't have the capability, we didn't have the skill to go and do this. But surely, after 5 years or after 10 years, then the country should have had, because if you look at it, let me say in my regard, from 94 to 90 to 2000, the company that is now a state-owned enterprise has sent me to a university to go and study the skill that is scarce in South Africa, which is mechanical engineering. But it was not only me, there was a lot of us, and then there were a lot of us before me that went to varsity to go and study these scarce skills. So surely there was a prioritization to say, okay, if this guy finish, they must open engineering companies, they must work in these companies. We will encourage them via BEE to come and then do engineering as a career. Because now we have engineers, or we have consultants. With consultants, it's very strict because you cannot practice as a consultant without being approved by Consulting Engineers of South Africa. But when you go to construction, that is where infiltration is, because a lot of guys are taking chances. A lot of guys are thinking that, no, we can do it. We are PE compliant. So in those years, during the 90s to the 2000s, early 2000s, we had this infiltration where whites were now using blacks to do the fronting. So they will use that still as fronts, and then I've escalated that to the respective bodies that are dealing with black economic empowerment as well, or the BEE commissioners, we can get this. So, but why do we have to have people that are watching at the ill discipline that we are practicing on? Yes, we know for someone it might be right that they are being used as a front, because that way they can be able to put bread on the table. I've heard other people complaining that, you know what, since you've opened another business chamber, we do not get jobs. But before you could put another business chamber, we could get jobs. But my argument will be, with that job that we've got before the chamber was established, were you able to start? They thought you are worth, or they were paying you according to what the guideline is saying in terms of the 30% threshold that every contractor must pay to the local contractor or the local subcontractor? So that they could not answer, because that is the provision. So we've got these things of exploitation. They end up doing the exploitation. They end up taking the advantage of the poor citizens. They end up taking advantage of the poor contractors, because poor contractors, what they are looking for is they are looking to make money quickly. So it's a foot to mouth, it's a hand to mouth thing that they are practicing, not looking at the longevity. Because remember, in construction, you need to have longevity. You need to establish your brand. You need to establish your name. You need to make sure that you know when people are dealing with you, they must know that this guy gives us quality. So in order for us to still accept this level of quality, we need to pay him what is due to him. So when you start coming with that language, people are saying, "No, it's either you're taking a bread out of their mouth, or you are a bad influencer to people." But it's not. The legislation has already stated that this is what you need to do in order for you to adhere to this condition, in order for you to have contractors that are empowered, that are growing in terms of their grading. This is what needs to happen. So in order for it to happen, that is what needs to be applied. We need to apply the regulation that is even in your CIDB or construction industry board. It is there that contractors must grow. When they are subcontracted, there must be a threshold that is put in there. So yes, I'm saying at the early 90s towards the early 2000s, it was acceptable for engineering to be infiltrated, but not now. We cannot be 26 years into democracy and we still have infiltration. It happened to those professionals that were sent. What happened to those professionals that were open the businesses and then they were doing leech to continue? So we need to look at these things. We need to look at them and say, okay, this is what we don't want as a country. This is what we need to do, because what you see now with the Zondo Commission, with all this commission, your Arms Deal Commission, your PIC Commission, it is infiltration of every individual who's a professional. It is an insult to a professional to see that you've been taken up and down in the courts. You have to go and respond for what you could have done correctly, for what you have been taught to say. What is the law of contracts saying? What is the law? And then what is your self-conscious in terms of your discipline, in terms of your association that you are affiliated to, in terms of the Engineering Council of South Africa, in terms of the South African Accountancy Council that you are. So do you need to be banned for just turning a blind eye on what you see, that this was an infiltration in my career and I could have stopped it? There's a question that was asked by my director general in another department yesterday. It was a very good question on Facebook. If your senior tells you to do something that you see that it is illegal, do you write to say, it was illegal for me to do this, but I was forced to do it? Or you say, no, I won't do it? For me, in 2008, I said to the director, who was a process engineer, when he asked me to sign and approve a drawing to make sure that this equipment will go on site. And I said, but what is the risk of this equipment going on site if these flanges are patched and re-drilled? If they are operating at high pressure, it means people might be killed. So if people will be killed, what does it mean? So I wrote a motivation to say, I am not going to sign that document as a professional mechanical engineer because my head will be on the block. And then they drive me to resign, or they in fact try to find something that is very dirty of me so that I can take myself, or they can take myself out of that project, because I've made the company lose 10.5 million because of the decision that I didn't want to do, that I was forced to do. And I said, no, not in my name. So you have to take that stand. If you do not take that stand, then people will exploit you. You'll have infiltration in your career. You'll have infiltration in everything that you are doing. So for me, as a professional, I want to say to you as fellow professionals out there, whether you are in the accounting, whether you are in finance, whether you are in projects, whether you are in engineering, let us abide by the rule of law. If it is not right, it is not right. You cannot make it right. If you ask by someone senior, because of the high position that they are handling, or they are heavy, and then you are threatened by them, or they tell you that they will fire you, let them fire you, but the truth shall set you free. So with that being said, let us not allow infiltration in our careers. So now we start seeing the trend where a lot of people are opening construction company. They do not have background, they have nothing, they have nada to do with engineering, but they're still pursuing this career. So it is now degenerating our skill as engineer. We know the Dr. Mtimkulu story. We know that saga of the Dr. Mtimkulu saga. We know what it has done to engineering fraternity. We know what it has done. We know the bridge. I think the bridge on N1. So we know what that saga has done to the engineering profession. We know the collapse of the mall in Durban. So we know that report is still there, is still out there for us to peruse, so that our integrity as engineers is not taken down by the infiltration of people that are operating in our field of engineering. Like I said, with a discussion that I had with a friend of mine from Kenya, he said they call them quack engineers. We do not want quack engineers. We want engineers that are truthful. We want engineers that are taking their oath to say we will stand and abide by the rules of laws of the Republic of South Africa. If we see an illicit act that is happening, we'll report it. If we see an unsafe behavior that is performed by a contractor on site, we'll report it. Or we can even go there and stop that site. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let us not be used as an infiltration. Let our career not be used as an infiltration. So we thank you very much for attending our session or our Facebook Live with Lizwe, or Tea with Lizwe Nation. We thank you very much. And may the wonderful God keep you safe. Stay at home, alone together. Let us practice social distancing, because you are our own keeper. We need to protect ourselves from this pandemic. So let us save the country, and God bless South Africa. Thank you very much.